remember hearing her screams like, I help me, and there wasn't anyone could hear, and I could hear. I couldn't do it. I was afraid.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Passion Show, where we talk about living out that full life in faith, work, and life in general. On today's episode, I am so excited to have with me my friend, my sister, my cheerleader, Naa, and today we're going to be talking about navigating our walk with God through life's challenges. Naa, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Marima.
Okay, so now
Hi guys.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Okay, so first thing is, who is Naa, and what does Naa do, and what does Naa love to do?
Okay, Naa is Naa Martekor Agyiri. Naa is an admin, a health administrator. She loves to sing and just love the Lord and love people. That's Naa.
I love it. Now, can you tell us a bit about like your growing up and then your journey with God? Like, where did it start? Like, yeah, a little bit about your childhood and when you were growing up and how you met Jesus.
So, Naa was previously Aisha to Muhammad Ali. Naa Martekor Agyiri, Aisha to Muhammad Ali. I was born into a Muslim family. My growing up here, my mom and dad were all Muslims. But my mom became a Christian at a very early age, and she started like navigating us through the walk with Christ. It was hard because yes, we come from a strong Muslim family where people didn't understand what religion was aside Muhammad. That was it. All they knew was Islam, and we had come in with this new Christian thing, especially my mom, because she started it and people didn't understand. So I think I always say this, that like I knew who Jesus was because I loved music growing up. I listened to music all the time, but especially gospel music. But then I knew Jesus very well, I guess, in university. That was in UDS. I went to UDS WA campus in 2011. So that is where I believe I met Jesus. But then I knew him, I'd heard of him. I was in SU at a point, but I didn't know what I was doing until I had like the encounter with Jesus. Yeah.
Wow. So can you kind of give us a back? Okay, let's go back a little bit. So here you are, Aisha too. You're born into a Muslim family. So now you've met Jesus. How was it like, taking that back with you, back home with you?
Oh wow, it was hard. I think that for me, my encounters with Jesus were bits and pieces before the full blown me coming to the understanding of I want this man in my life forever kind of thing. Because even as a child, when I was being taught the Muslim way, something in my mind didn't feel right. But then I didn't know what was what, and bits and pieces of the encounter that I experienced were like I would go for an all-night service and I couldn't explain where I'd been, because it's like you are supposed to be asleep as a child, so where are you? And you are at an all-night service and you couldn't explain it. I'd had like various encounters of that until university, when I was like, oh, this is Jesus, this is the Holy Spirit, this is who I want to spend the rest of my life.
Were there any difficulties that you experienced like as an early Christian? Like, so you said going back home, you would, of course your family would be wondering, where's this girl gone? You've gone for an all night. But were there any difficulties that you experienced when you
Yes, certainly. I believe that they didn't accept what was going on. They didn't accept the fact that I was different and I was trying to transition from Christian and Muslim to Islamic, rather, to Christianity. It was just a difficult moment in the family, even to navigate. I was the first child, and it felt like you are being different. You are, when we allow you to move away, then everybody's just going to follow your lead, and we won't allow that. So there was lots of friction. I had to, at a point, leave home. basically I was just sacked from the house, so there was no place to go. There'd been battles where I've been beaten, even by my father, by the family, like a whole that kind of brutal beating, like a thief. But it was my family that was doing that to me because they didn't understand why I wanted to be different.
So is there any one instance that stuck with you that really shook you to the core, that made you even wonder whether you wanted to continue with this work?
Yeah. So there was this one time I was home and someone came in. Well, it wasn't just someone. He was someone who had come to the house repeatedly, like a friend or a family friend, and then had come to ask for something in the house. So I was the only person in the house at that time, and I gave it out. It was a gas cylinder at that time. This gas cylinder that's connected to the gas stove. So I gave it. He came, disconnected it, and took it all away. I thought I was doing like the good thing. I was a child again, and my parents come home, and it's like, where is this thing? And it's gone. And I'm like, oh, your friend, the one who's been coming. And like, no. Where is it? And I'm like, yeah, there you. This is like a Ga, traditional Ga Muslim community. So it's not as subtle as I'm saying it. And I can't describe the whole thing. The best I could describe it was very fearful. So they asked me to go and look for the man in the cylinder. I decided to, just go start walking. So I'm walking, don't know where I'm going. I'm like, let's just go to church and maybe speak to someone if I could find more answers, because my parents were really upset with me. So I go out, I go to the church, I speak to my pastor. He's like, oh, it's fine, you'll be fine. I mean, it's at this point it's late, it's all night, they're having church service. Like, just ease your mind, relax in the honor. I was 12, 11, very young. So I go in, ease my mind. I like singing, so everybody sees me around, just jumping. That childhood just can't sit still. So yeah, just trying to take everything off my mind. I enjoy the services all night. We sleep in. The following morning, we go home. We get home and it's brutal. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in those communities, but when you are that child who everybody seems to be the stubborn child, everybody's looking for you. You haven't slept at home, so it's like there's already chaos. And then you get there, and people are like, "Where was she? Where did she go?" Hey, that kind of thing. And yeah, all I remember was just beating everybody who could beat me, everybody who could touch me with a stick, with a stone. It was brutal. Yes, they were beating me up and about, pouring water. It was hell. Where did you go? Where, that kind of thing. I wasn't able to speak, but I remember insisting that I was in church, and it's like, yeah, church is just a cover up. Why are you trying to cover up? Where were you? That kind of thing. So at the point I was like, just do whatever. I thought I was going to just die, but something was like, you're not going to die, you're not going to die, you're not going to die. And like, if I'm not going to die, tell them where I was. I didn't go anywhere, I was in church. So it was that back and forth. Even with my spirit, with myself, I also again didn't know what was going on. I knew that they were hurting me. I knew that I was saying the truth, but I didn't know the meaning of what was happening. But as an adult now, I realized that it was that life and death struggle between the two religions, and that was it. So I think a day after I was hospitalized, I came home, and I was still trying to explain to them that this is where I was. I'm not lying about it. Now we go to the church, and finally, because my father's like, no, he has to see this for himself. Like, he has to hear from other people that I was where I'm saying I was. We get there, and the pastor's like, yeah, she was here. Like, people, no, we saw her. What happened? At this point, I look like I've been hit by a bus, because it's bad. And I mean, the regret of what had happened, and me feeling like, this Jesus we are trying to serve. I mean, I came to you, and you couldn't even prove to these people that I was with you. What's happening? It just takes me to the Bible where the disciples were persecuted, and some of us at this age, we believe that coming into Jesus means like, being free, being away from persecution, being away, slaying and all that stuff. But that's not what Jesus is about. Jesus is that you are able to go through persecution rather for him. You are able to go through all the trials for him, because that's where he went. That's what he's calling us to.
So what lasting impression did that leave with you? And then going forward, having that at the back of your mind, how did that shape your actually coming to Christ?
I think that, like I said in the beginning, these things were bits and pieces. So I didn't even realize it until later in life. I think maybe 3-4 years ago was when I realized that all these things were like backtrack and back records of my stay in Christ, my meeting Jesus, because some of the things I didn't even know was real, or I thought sometimes like movies and all of those things was what was happening. I didn't know that it was a life I'd lived, what I'd been through before now. So in university, it was also still hard because then my dad had stopped paying my fees. Things was just really very hard because university, I've lived my entire life in Accra, Ghana, and then all of a sudden I had to move to the north, in the upper west. I didn't know anybody there. And I just was there in school, and the funding that I needed to be like backing the support I needed from family, I didn't have it. And so I felt like stuck, and God was like, yeah, I will do this with you. I went to school to just do diploma, and he paid my degree fees, diploma fees, all of it till I completed. That was when I was like, you know what, I'm not alone. I can't behave as though I'm living my life alone. I'm living with someone, and I'm living with Jesus, and he's decided that if I would trust him, he's going to be with me till I die. So that was what actually made me decide to give my life to Christ.
Okay, so now you've given your life to Christ. All right, so wonderful. And God has come through for you with like his provision in every way, in every sphere. Now, as a Christian, as you've been growing in the faith, what have been some of the difficulties that you faced that have shaken you to the very core?
I think the homelessness, you know, it's like all of a sudden I never had a home. My home, which was the Muslim background, was no longer my home. I wasn't welcomed if that is what I wanted to. If that was like the new trend I wanted to go to, I was different. And so nobody was ready to take me in. Nobody was even ready to listen to my story. And I remember sleeping in the bus station, sleeping under bridges. And there was one thing that really stuck with me. Sorry. So there was one event where I'd gone to sleep at a bus station, and there was like an incident that was going on in the bus. So I remember sleeping in the middle of the bus. I was a woman. I didn't want to also be pounced on by whoever was doing whatever to the person. And I remember hearing her screams like, I help me. And there wasn't anyone could hear. And I could hear, I couldn't do it. I was afraid. And I remember telling myself that if I ever come out of these streets, I was going to provide shelter for whoever wanted to be out of these streets, you know, because this isn't a life, you know, where you're being harassed or you're being molested and no one can come to your aid, you know. So that was what stuck with me, and I felt like I was too blamed because maybe if I had gone to call for help, someone would have helped it. Also, I felt like I couldn't do anything because if I voiced that I was there, the tendency of them doing the same thing they were doing to her to me was like high. So I don't want anybody to ever be in that position, you know. And the fact that Jesus brings relief to people on the street. Jesus brings provision, like home, a place where you can run to, was what I wanted to provide, is what I want to provide for the people out there. You know, tell people all over the world who want to hear that Jesus is that person, that if you rely on him, he'll bring you out of the darkest of places. So basically this woman was being raped. Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, like, because like you've said, so your passion project or something that God has laid on your heart is to provide a safe space for women and children. You tell me, like, in what safety means to you. What does safety mean to you?
Safety means a place you can run to, a place you can call your home, a place you can feel comfortable, a place you can I guess share your story and not be abused, not be misunderstood, be loved, a place you can be loved. and I feel like everyone walking on these streets, walking in the world, wants to come to that place of love, where you are not judged, you are not misunderstood, your words are not taken and changed for what they are not, but just a place you can feel at home. And that's where a place I never had growing up. And I feel like if we can give the world this home, Jesus, then we can change it, you know, from the horrors of what's going on out there to a place where somebody who isn't even afraid or isn't even aware of their faith can just be like, no, I'm just figuring things out. Can I come here and figure things out and go back? That kind of space. Yeah.
And I think, you know, even saying that, I did meet you in a space, right? Yeah. In a space, and one of the things that I really love about you, Naa is like support. You're strong and you stay. Like, I feel like there's something about you that's so it's unforgettable. God has equipped you for this desire that He's put in your heart. And I also want to ask you, like, is there anything you want to say out there to someone who perhaps is going through a difficult time? I know that you've been through many more difficult times than you've shared here. Is there anything that you want to share with anyone who's been through really difficult times, really difficult times, who doesn't feel safe at home, doesn't feel safe in their environment, you know, maybe as a child who's going through some kind of molestation or some kind of abuse, or like just not feeling safe? Is there something you would like to say to them?
Yeah. What you're experiencing isn't like, if you are still going through, if you've already gone through it, that isn't what your life is supposed to look like. You know, Jesus brings peace, He brings love, He brings safety, and He's the only one you can run to. He's your home, because He's a home aside from this world. He's the only home we have in eternity. So yeah, I would just want to encourage you to try Jesus, get close to Him. There are things, depths of Him that we don't see, that we are not told of. But when we get close to Him, when we walk with Him, we realize that we are not alone. We realize that He wants to speak to us. He wants to guide us. He wants to shield us. Little things like the little details of your life is very important to Him. All the things you've been through, the things you may still be going through now, it's important to Him. I believe that He's there with you in every step of the way. He's speaking to you, and all you have to do is to speak back. Understand that you are not alone, and understand that maybe if you have suicidal thoughts, if you have deadly thoughts, if you have thoughts of even harming yourself, there's another voice that is talking to you, that is might be silenced, but might be quiet, but it's there, and you know it. I know it. Speak to that voice. Go close to Him. Call His name. Speak to Him. His word says that, call on me and I will answer. That's all you need to do. Just say Jesus. Just believe that He's there, and He will appear to you in the strangest of ways. You are not alone. He's there with you. I keep saying it because that's what I keep hearing, that you are not alone. You are never alone. If you believe it, it's a step of overcoming the enemy. Because the minute you believe it, that's the lie. The lie of the enemy is to say you are alone, is to say you are by yourself, but which is not true. The truth is that you are with Jesus, and He's with you, and He's walking the journey with you, and He's ready to walk with you till death do you part. So that's what I want to do.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna, as you look back at your life and you look at the lack of safety, what are some of the things that it exposed you to, or what negative effect did that having a lack of safety bring your way? That as a young woman growing up, you realized maybe led you to do certain things, or led you down certain paths, or exposed you to some unfortunate event or something. What did that lack of safety mean?
A lack of safety made me insecure, and that was it. That's all I needed to go down the path of promiscuity and weird strange places. Like, I realized that I even entered into relationships that I wasn't supposed to be in because I was insecure of myself. I had low self-esteem. I wasn't even sure I was supposed to be on this earth, and I always felt like going to another man's home and making that my home made me safe. Going into another man's bosom made me safe, but that wasn't it. That wasn't it. I believe that as I grew in Christ, Christ helped me understand that He alone is my safety, and me believing that He's always with me and always for me made me safe.
Okay. So I want you to talk to someone and really, like, I feel like there are different and varying degrees of hurts that people have been through and carried, along the way. And sometimes it's easy when we talk and then we relay it to you and we tell you it's going to be okay. But when you know what people have been through, sometimes it just carries a different weight. Now, you are a woman, you're a young woman, you're insecure. What have been some of the wrong relationships that you've gone into, or what have been some of the turning points in terms of the relationship that you've been into that were like so low, that were your lowest lows or lows, that you can share with us if you feel comfortable sharing?
So, for example, I was in a relationship where I wanted just a place to lay my head and food. That was it. 1 Ghana cedi food, 2 cedis, kinky and fish. What? Rice or Indomie or Coke or that was it. And if there was anyone who was willing to provide that I was gonna do it. I was gonna stay with you. I was just gonna be with you, be around you, because I felt like you are able to provide my needs and give me a place to lay my head. Because I wasn't welcomed at home. In the streets, like living on the streets is a whole different ballgame, and I wasn't ready to do it anymore. I was tired of just being on the streets. I was like, anyone who was going to give me anything, and I could speak good English, I looked good, so anybody who would approach me and be like, oh, like, you're a fine girl, I want to, I knew Jesus was Jesus, but I was like, Jesus is not a human being. Jesus is not going to give me 1 cedi to get food. So you know what? I'm just going to go with this man. And yeah, it took me through maybe 6 months of living with a person. The person just providing food and water, just little amenities, pomade for my skin, the little things, food to eat, and that.
Would you like to hear some more? What does safety look like to you? Please let us hear from you down below in the comments. And thank you so very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Thank you for watching. See you next week. God bless you.